OE652-FD by Powerbass. So I bought this scratch and dent on Crutchfield for my 2008 Ford Mustang GT. So I'm redoing the entire factory system, and I wanted some good door speakers. So this is what I settled on. So I got a pretty good deal. I think I got them for like $81 on Crutchfield because they were scratch and dent. Yeah, I'm pretty into buying scratch and dent stuff, and I've had good success buying scratch and dent and also open box from Crutchfield. No real major issues. So what we see with these speakers right here is that they're 60 watts RMS. That's compared to the factory OEM door speakers, which are 25 watts RMS. So this is gonna be a substantial improvement over that. Now, I gotta be honest, I really did not wanna buy these speakers because of a couple things. The frequency response. The lower end of the frequency response range is 70 Hertz. So for a subwoofer, you can usually find a lower end down to like 20 Hertz. And in the Ford Mustangs with the 9 speaker system, I think also with the 6 speaker system, the lower door speakers are actually subwoofers. And so I really wanted to put subwoofers in there, but I am putting subwoofers, at least one subwoofer in the trunk. So I figured that if I went with this, it would still be okay. If I lowered the bass in the front of the car, it would still be all right. And the reason why I went with these, even though I was looking for a lower frequency response, was because I used the software on the Crutchfield website to compare the sound of these speakers to the sounds of some of the other speakers I was looking at. And these just sounded incredible. Now, it's possible that software was overleading or misleading. The way it works is you just open the software, you select a few different speakers you want to compare, and I compared these to some cheaper Alpines that had, I think, a frequency response in the 40 Hertz range, or maybe the 50 Hertz range, somewhere between 40 or 50, and these just sounded so much better. So I already opened up this box a little bit. Even though this is saying it's scratch and dent, I'm not really seeing any scratches or dents in anything. It looks like, basically it looked like it was completely unopened when I opened it the first time. And yeah, forgive me because I only have one hand. So this is what the speaker looks like. Well, technically I have 2 hands, right? And it just looks incredible, honestly. Now this differs from the factory OEM speaker in that this has this tweeter baked in to the middle of the cone. So I'm not sure how that's gonna play out. The way that the factory system works is that coming out of the head unit, you have 4 signals. You have basically 4 channels coming out of the head unit, but then they feed into the factory amplifier, and out of the factory amplifier, you actually have 7 channels output. So that factory amplifier is working as a crossover, and it's directing certain frequencies to certain speakers. I don't know if the lower factory doors in these Mustangs actually receive a higher frequency signal. I'm guessing that they do, but again, I really just don't know. Now, when we're talking about the doors, there's 3.5s higher up on the door, and then also there's tweeters on on a different trim piece up by the window. Those tweeters and those 3.5s are on the same channel. So there's one channel for the left 3.5 and tweeter, and then there's another channel for the right 3.5 and tweeter. And then each of these lower door speakers are on their own channel. So I'm hoping that the factory system isn't EQ'd so that I can't get any higher frequency sounds out of this tweeter. I don't think it's gonna be a problem, honestly. I think it'll be okay. So these speakers, they look incredible. We're getting 60 watts RMS versus the 25 watts RMS from the factory OEM speaker. Now, of course, this is going to be amplified. I'm adding an aftermarket amplifier to the system. One thing that I thought was interesting about this speaker was that it actually does have what looks like a crossover. So it looks, so there's basically like two different models of this. One comes as a component set, and then the other one comes like this, the one that we're looking at. And the component set has a tweeter that you can wire to the 6.5. And so I'm guessing that the only difference here is that this model doesn't come with the tweeter, but that it's exactly the same as the 6.5 and the other one, because we do see here that there is a crossover, and it looks like the tweeter can be wired off this. Now, the reason I went with this rather than the component speaker is, again, because I want to do complete OEM integration. I'm actually not removing the factory amplifier, even though I am adding multiple amplifiers to the system. This speaker is going to be amplified, is because that tweeter, that factory tweeter, is on the same channel as the 3.5. It's not on the same channel as the door 6.5s. So I didn't want to do anything weird. If I do replace the 3.5s and the tweeter, then I want them to be on the same channel and just let the factory amplifier do the crossing over for me. You do see here that you can use the factory wiring harness. So this is exactly the same as the factory speaker. But hopefully you can see it. It also has connections, so you can connect it just like a normal aftermarket speaker. I believe those are here, and these two would be for the tweeter. Now, another thing that's interesting about this is I looked at a lot of different component sets, and there was like a general warning relating to those about not running the main like 6.5 without the tweeter wired on, and I think that's to stop the 6.5 from overloading. Now you can do that, but you have to like wire in or solder in like a resistor across the tweeter network. Now here, this is really interesting because it appears that it has that ability to include that tweeter, but that it is not a necessary component. So the speaker really does look incredible, in my opinion. Now, it does have this foam right here, and the reason why you want that foam is because you want the door interior, the inside of the door, to sit flat, flush against the speaker, so that the sound from the speaker is going out into the car rather than inside of the door interior and rattling around in there. So if you do add aftermarket speakers that don't have this foam, then you're going to want to add that. Now, the only thing that I don't like about these is that this basket is plastic. This is just totally plastic. It has the same feel as the OEM basket. And again, these are really designed to be just like OEM upgrades. Now, the reason I don't like this plastic is because when you're really like pushing the system and you're really thumping, and the system's getting hot, especially like on a hot day, this plastic can actually warp. Like if it's a really hot day, the inside of the door is hot and you're also pushing the system, this can actually become deformed. Now, I'm sure there's a way for me to build another basket in the future if I need to do that, but obviously I don't want to build another basket, right? I don't want to mess around with it. I think it'll be okay. I don't think it'll be a huge issue. The price point of the speakers is not that high. Like I said, I got them for like 81. Normally they're just about 100. But yeah, scratch and dent, I don't see any scratches. I don't see any dents. And I did look at this one too, and it looks like it hasn't even been opened. This one looked like it hadn't even been opened. So if you are thinking about getting these, I think you can do it. Obviously, I'm gonna build my system and you'll be able to see all my reviews and my system build on YouTube when I finally get done with that, once this gets better. I don't think you would see like a huge improvement, like if you just were to like take out the factory speakers and put these in. And that's because you're getting the same power to this as you were getting to the factory. Now, I'm gonna be amplifying the system, right? So I'm gonna try to get, I don't know, maybe like 50, 55, maybe even 60, probably 55 watts to this speaker, to each of these speakers. So that's more than double what you're getting with the factory speaker, and they have the same resistance, 4 ohms. So I do think this is gonna sound much better. And yeah, basically, what can I say? Don't be worried about buying an open box from Crutchfield. If there is a problem, they'll return it. This is scratch and dent, but there are no scratches and dents. And even though this speaker really didn't meet the technical specifications I was looking for, it sounded great on that Crutchfield software, and I just have a really good feeling about the speaker. I mean, what can I say? I think it's gonna sound incredible.